Guys, what's up? So yesterday I did another yajé ceremony. I'm gonna walk around our little compound here so you can get a sense of the place I've been staying. And well, I'll just get started. Yesterday when I first went into my ceremony, I talked to our two shamans, and I mentioned a little bit of the things that I was here for. They gave me the advice to use a mantra, I am light. And mantras, it really helps in general. Like if you start to get uncomfortable or just, your thoughts aren't where they need to be, you just repeat, your mantra, which in my case was I am light, I am light. And it just helps you to focus yourself and center yourself and to get out of your head so much. We need to be in a less intellectual space, especially in the West. We're very based on our mind and not so much in our hearts, where a lot of the healing happens, But I'm gonna say that doing these ceremonies, it's really I've thought about, like, rethought a lot of my relationships with people, and just like how I've treated people, how I've thought about people, like different people in my past, and it's been really rewarding. I just feel more open, more connected, more honest with myself and others, and it's been just amazing, So I did another ceremony. Tomorrow I'm gonna have a daytime ceremony, so that's going to be an interesting experience. But I'm getting some rain here. Look at this guy. It's funny. So I'm going to describe my experience. I drank the brew, the medicine, and as I felt this like warmth in my stomach. And in Colombia they have holes that they dig outside. They don't give you a bucket unless you really, really need it, like you're incapacitated. But the idea is that you don't want to keep the stuff that you purge in the maloca, because it's the negative stuff that we want to keep out, So I like that. It was a good change of pace. But I felt this warmth in my stomach, and I went out and I purged, and when I came back in, I closed my eyes, and that's when it started. And let me tell you, it was intense. I saw this woman, and she had these long spindly fingers, and I started to walk towards her, and she pointed over in another direction, so I started to go that way. And the environment around this kind of spirit world started to change. It started to get more complex. It resembled like a patchwork quilt, the way that it was sort of put together. And there were these colors and designs, like that were so, like, I can't even describe it, but and it was really intense, and it was uncomfortable. And I asked like, why is this so uncomfortable? And the plant teacher told me that it was helping me to get inside, and to really it's going all throughout me and just working through me and healing me. And so and this world, like, it was this whole like world that was building up in my head, and it was weird. Like, it was like not like it didn't make sense in some ways, and I kind of had my arms wrapped around my head, and it was like I felt like these hands coming from all these different directions. I'm going to share a little story real quick. When we were doing San Pedro, one of my compatriots said that these flowers started talking to him, and they said that they identified themselves as Aya the poet. So that was a cool little anecdote. Hey puppy, how's it going? But hola. Here's some locals. Oh, just talking to some locals. It's starting to rain, so I'm gonna show you guys the Maloka structure. It's a bit different, but very similar. This is where we were. This is probably can't see very much, but this is a fire pit, and we were just kind of around in here. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so this stuff was uncomfortable, and as this world got more complex and more strange, I kind of realized where I was. I was in the same place that I had been during my last ceremony at the Chulachaki Lodge, when I did an extra ceremony outside of Kapatari. Let me wipe this off real quick. And it was the place that where I had revisited what happened with my grandmother. I mean, I saw that my grandfather abused me too, and he it wasn't quite as severe. Like, my grandmother was the one where it got really bad, but it was hard. I mean, it was gently showing me, what happened, and I was reliving it. And this is one of the holes, by the way, where we purged. But it was difficult, but it was really, it was freeing. And I feel, especially being in this place, I mean, I feel really strongly connected to my ancestors, to my family. I love my grandparents greatly, even though, in spite of what happened, and I feel like I'm really grateful for the opportunity to heal from this wound, this very ancient wound, really. But it's good, I mean, because I'm realizing that, just like, I mean, after all that kind of wore off, I remembered the animals again, and I cried. I looked into the fire and I cried, which was good too. Like to have those emotions come back a little stronger and to be able to work through them. Just even like seeing this dog here, it's just reminding me how much I love animals, and it's really, that's the important part, because these religions, do things like animal sacrifice, different types of trauma, and, just like ayahuasca and San Pedro and these other things can induce these kind of trance states or these altered states of consciousness. Trauma also can like life-threatening experiences, it can cause you to become, it can induce like this kind of altered state, or like kind of put you into a trance, and that's, I think, one of the main purposes behind this. But I've been thinking a lot, and like this, what's important here is that, like, especially with this, you want to call it Satanism, you want to call it whatever, but like symbolism is really important. Just like, things like pentagrams, archetypes and that sort of thing. I mean, and it's not all bad too, I mean, like the natives, you can see here these circular structures. The circle is an important structure. I mean, even like a pentagram isn't like bad in and of itself. It's just how you use it. If you abuse someone in the center of a pentagram, then they're gonna associate this very powerful archetypal shape with trauma. It's gonna cause them to dissociate. But the thing is, we humans, even though I was saying before, like we're very intellectual, but we are also, we operate in a lot of ways on a subconscious level, and I think that's how this this kind of twisted religion works in a lot of ways, because, a lot of times when you see that people aren't behaving rationally, it's because there's a disconnect between their conscious and their subconscious mind, I mean, and even in society, even though we in a lot of ways we pay lip service to certain things, like we want to protect children, we want to protect the environment and all that, like the way that we actually act collectively as a society it doesn't go along with that at all. And I think part of the reason why is because we don't follow the same kind of earth religion as say like these natives, the different tribes that we're taking the ayahuasca medicine with, and that we're you know, that existed throughout the Americas. But there's a different religion that's taken hold instead, and it's a lot more sinister. But you know, through this process, through healing this ancestral wound and just moving forward, you know, with this new sense of, like, you know, getting insight from these plant teachers, I'm realizing that it's possible for us to build a new spirituality, a beneficial spirituality, that's based on modern science and technology and knowledge, but also on these very ancient teachings and this wisdom. And that's my vision for the future, you know, I mean, the place I'm at is called the Eagle Condor Alliance, and there's a prophecy that there's the Eagle people, which is like Western society, and there's the Condor people, which represents the natives, and the different views on the world that they have. And there's a prophecy that said that for 500 years, starting around 1492, the Eagle people would take over, and they would almost drive the Condor people to extinction. But after that 500 years, there would be an opportunity for the two paths to come together, and we're now in that time, and I see it happening. You know, with more people going to the yajé, with more people